Good afternoon, it is Matt Rogers, and I'm going to now show you some information and photographs of interest. Now, what you're seeing on the screen here is the telescope, the Chilean telescope that's in Chile, the ESO. Now, I always go back to this telescope on these webcams as well of interest because news media and science magazines are stating that we can see Mars very clearly in the skies now, which we couldn't see past years. It was very hard to catch Mars.
Hello friends. Well, as we can see, Matt Rogers arguing from incredulity and ignorance yet again. Matt, you don't appear to understand that planets orbit, and therefore planets will be near or far away from each other as time goes by. And currently Mars is coming close to Earth because we're both on the same side of the sun. It's not hard. Get a grip.
Now, we're seeing red colours up there with the white sun through the afternoon skies. And this red reflection as well, folks, is reflecting on the chemical of spraying. These chemical drones, chemical objects, chemical planes. This red reflection again. This other colour that's coming through. Now, look at the area that we're seeing of this object again, just below on the screen on this live webcam. Down below we've got this reflection, the same red reflection upon chemical trails on the horizon. Look at the moon, folks. Look around the area of the moon. There is a red reflection. Is this again iron oxide?
Matt, are you really this imbecilic? It's called purple fringing. When you get a high contrast light source against a dark background, digital cameras are particularly prone to it. It's not iron oxide or chemicals, you dummy.
Now Mars, it wouldn't do this. It's a long way.
For a skywatcher, you are remarkably dense. Currently, Mars is approaching what is going to be less than 4 AU distance from Earth because of the way the orbits have lined up. Over the following years, it will then go further away to about somewhere over 2.5 AU. I mean, I got it with a standard camera. I then used my telescope, and I looked at a few of the other planets as well. It's just light reflecting off the planet.
Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to read this short statement from the National Geographic of Science magazine because, again, this is interesting. It starts off by saying Mars meets lunar eclipse and more can't miss sky event in July. The red planet at its best, a long-lasting blood moon and a rare chance to glimpse Pluto would excite skywatchers this month. I mean, we couldn't see Pluto before, but now we're going to be able to see Pluto.
Yes, we're going to be able to see Pluto, although there are some caveats. One, you're probably going to need at least an 8-inch telescope. 2, you're going to have to really know what you're doing, because you're not going to see a planet as such. You're just going to see something that looks very much like the stars, moving against the background of the stars. It's not going to be in your face. Do you know how long the orbital period of Pluto is? No, I didn't think so. It takes a bloody good few years to come round to a good position for us to see it. So once again, it's down to being in superior opposition. That is where the distance between two planets are at their shortest, which it is again this time, just enough to make the difference with the right equipment.
And again with this blood moon, something is going on, folks, and none of this information was brought out last year or the year before that or years back. It was hard to skywatch and notice the other known celestial bodies, but now they're stating it's very easy to do so. Let me just carry on with this message.
Let me just interrupt your message. You are an ignoramus. All things are relative. Mars, particularly easier to find this time round. But for the majority of the years before, it has been easy to find, just small because it's a long way away. At the moment, it's closer. So, theoretically, we would see more detail. Unfortunately, there's a dust storm going on, which has spoiled that. But you can still see a nice red planet in the sky. As for the moon, the red is caused by light being bent through the Earth's atmosphere and shining on the moon. Because of refraction, it's red. It's not voodoo, you moron.
Okay, let's just read this first. It says, with Mars at its closest to Earth in 15 years, an extra long lunar eclipse, and a dazzling meteor shower, July is shaping up to be a busy time for skywatchers. And it states as well, so dust off those binoculars and get set up to explore the night sky this month. Well, it just shows you as well, when they state as well, dust off those binoculars, they're just hoping that people haven't noticed the big changes. Just hoping again that people are just keeping their eyes down, just throwing different technology at us and false media, just to keep our eyes down. I mean, they are taking the Michael out of us, they really are.
There's only one person taking the Michael, and that's the ignorant ape descendant called Matt Rogers, who seemingly doesn't understand anything he's looking at or talking about, and your comprehension is utter shite. That article, they have encouraged people to look up. You're always saying, look up. So why are you bitching when an official magazine says to people, look up? You're never happy, are you? Or are you worried that someone's going to see through your shit?
And it states here, okay, it says it's closest to Earth in 15 years. Well, I've done some studying these past few days, and I've looked at Mars 15 years ago on photographs and with information as well, and it's nothing like what we're seeing now in our skies. Mars was very hard to detect. So was the other objects. Only by 2015 as well. They were just very small, blurry objects out there that were what we could see of them just flickering through our atmosphere out there in our solar system. But now they seem to be not even flickering, they're just like bright objects that are just and seem to be close. I mean, come on guys, this is so different, isn't it? Let me just take you to a Mars image 15 years ago. Okay, now this photograph is of Mars. This back in the day, about 15 odd years ago. What we're seeing is, to the right hand side, is the celestial body. It's not as red as what we're seeing now, is it? And this is seen from Earth. But look at the picture, we're seeing stars, many stars.
Ah, look, more incredulity. And look at that picture indeed. It's pixelated to buggery. It's got to be the shittest picture you could have found ever. Have a look at these ones. I'll even put a link in the description box that takes you to the gentleman's website. That's how you image a planet. It's not bloody hard. Just use the right equipment, correct exposures, and take your time. Again, Matt, it's not voodoo.
Now, to think out the box with this as well, okay, is we're not seeing any iron oxide or any strange red colours that are flecking through across what we're seeing the moon, even the blue skies. So, this is how we saw Mars, this is how we saw Venus, this is how we saw the known heavenly bodies. We could just catch a very small glimpse at the planets. It was quite hard, wasn't it? But now, look at this photograph, what I'm going to show you now, of Mars of today. Can you see the big difference now? There is even a reflection on the waters of the iron oxide colour that you're seeing. Even the haze on the horizon as well on this photograph. This red reflection. Now, we do see some stars, don't we? But not like what we saw in the past years. This sky as well is lighting up much brighter through the night time as well. All I'm saying is, it does look different. I'm just trying to picture the differences because this is what I'm seeing, and I'm having untold emails about this as well. It could be nothing. It could be a situation that everything's just fine. But then when you have learnt to study the stars, study the skies for many years, and you notice these differences, and still those in power will turn around and start to say it's other things and try and make out that everything's normal. It's a case that we need to speak out because I can't turn my back on what I'm seeing here because it's different. Okay, this image has come through an article from a magazine, Tonight Earth Sky. It states as well, Dennis Chabot of Possum Night Sky Astrophotography wrote on the 27th of June 2018, Mars this morning. Mars is usually too dim, too small to see through a hazy cloud. See, now people are starting to notice this. Too hazy to see through a cloud.
You are, without doubt, the most unutterable moron that ever walked this planet. You take things wildly out of context, you misunderstand even worse, and then you make presumptions based on your ignorance and yet you claim to have studied the skies for years. So how come you know absolutely fuck all? You do know that atmospheric conditions can affect your photography efforts. Weather, humidity, cloud, light pollution. You have to pick the appropriate moment, use the appropriate equipment, and then use the correct settings and exposure time. Comparing that shitty pixelated pic that you dug up with something of this quality is disingenuous in the least. You, sir, are a moron, and I can't believe you're able to breathe and walk at the same time. And trying to twist the words of someone who has taken a picture of Mars currently when it is close to the Earth, so is brighter and will be seen through thin cloud much easier than when Mars is further away, has got to be the most stupid thing you've ever done. Other than claiming tacitly that you took that picture of Jupiter and that you seem to be using a P900 to take an image of Venus that time. But you haven't got a P900, have you? You really think we button up backwards? You're a charlatan. And the sooner your lips are sewn together, the better.